as the world commemorates Workers' Day today, South Africa's spiralling unemployment rate and the cost of living crisis remain a huge concern. The working class has very little to celebrate this year, as it's become harder for the average citizen to stretch their earnings from one month to the next. Load shedding as well, making it impossible for workers, particularly in the informal sector, to make ends meet. To unpack this further, we're joined this morning by Thulani Tshefuta, who is the Community Constituency Head at NEDLAC. Thulani, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us on this public holiday. When we talk about what do we commemorate on this Workers' Day, there was a reason why President Cyril Ramaphosa, in last year's official commemoration of Workers' Day, COSATU's official May Day event, was booed off stage. Workers are incredibly frustrated.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika this morning of the International Workers' Day. The International Workers' Day continues to hold a significant space in the political calendar of South Africa and the world as a whole. It is a day in which, first and foremost, we should acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of the workers in contributing to the development of our society and communities as a whole. It is a day in which we should also acknowledge the contributions they make through their toil and labor into the economic fortunes of a society. At the same time, it is a day in which we should take a pause and acknowledge the challenges that they are confronted with, and use it in a way as a day in which we make a covenant with the workers as a society on what we are collectively going to do to ameliorate their circumstances. And that can be expressed in many different ways, not least in the manner in which you have just explained, but equally, it should be a day in which the workers themselves commit themselves into doing better in the spaces of employment in which they are given to make a significant contribution than just one-way-sided demands.
Yeah. It's a difficult context to sort of describe for workers, just given the state of the economy, Thulani, as we speak on the 1st of May 2023. It's difficult for us to create jobs if our economy is not growing. What can President Cyril Ramaphosa and those who are leading today's official commemoration say that will give workers something to hold on to in what is an incredibly difficult environment?
It is a very, very difficult environment under which we enter the May Day or the Workers' Day of 2023. It is informed by, firstly, high levels of unemployment. Secondly, sluggish economic growth, as you were just saying. Thirdly, the impact of the continuing blackouts and load shedding, not only on the economy, but on the livelihoods of the people and the households in general in South Africa. The ever-increasing cost of living is making it even more difficult, even for those who are fortunate enough to be employed, to sustain the households and extended families that ordinarily they would be supporting with their salaries. And therefore, when we enter the May Day of 2023, one of the most important things that we must acknowledge is that the nature of work is ever changing in South Africa and the world. And therefore, the mindset that sought to organize workers 10 years ago, 29 years ago, 30 years ago, is not going to make it now and into the future. What we should acknowledge, secondly, is that in South Africa and the world, there is so much work to be done, but there are no formal jobs that are being created to get to do that work. And therefore, we are going to need different forms of employment in order for us to mobilize especially young people's energies to get that work done. And that may include informal sectors of the economy and informal work in order to get that job done. And therefore, nothing in the eyes of the workers will ever make sense without an open and transparent engagement on the salaries that the workers should be getting and the wages that should be meaningful, moving along in terms of the high cost of living that they are experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the jobs crisis as well for so many years. During the last general election in 2019, it was a big talking point. It was a big electioneering tool for the governing party as well, this issue of creating jobs for our young people. And yet, as we prepare for another general election next year, Thulani, we're facing an even worse crisis than we described in 2019.
Precisely the point that as a society, we should have never allowed the issue of job creation, especially for young people, to be a political football, that whoever thinks that they can win over the vote of the people without a meaningful program should use sloganeering on job creation and the normal slogans of youth unemployment is a ticking time bomb. The reality that we are confronted with is the fact that even in the same electioneering process, when any political party wearing any color of a t-shirt, be it yellow, be it blue, be it red, or any color, wake up on any day and seek to mobilize the very same unemployed young people and take them into the streets for protests, just as a sign of showing strength that we have the numbers, should be unacceptable in our society. Because what it essentially portrays is the fact that there is somewhere where those young people should be that they are not, such that they are on the streets, wearing the colors of their political parties, and therefore showing that political strength without a meaningful engagement of what does the messaging in the content of the manifesto of these political parties hold as a promise and a covenant to young people as a promise of employment. That should have never been allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thulani Tshefuta, let me thank you this morning for your time as we begin our Workers' Day discussion on the 1st of May, this Monday. He is the Community Constituency Head at NEDLAC. Thulani, thanks very much indeed for your time.